Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes, and I'm really excited to have these great gentlemen here with me today. Hello to our political analyst and former mayor of Atlanta, Bill Campbell. Hello, Mr. Mayor. How are you?
Always a pleasure to see you, Sybil, and you too, Dr. George.
But of course, it's so amazing to see you and we're on time today.
And we are very much on time. Yolanda, make sure of that. How are you, Dr. Wallace?
Dr. Wallace feels good all over. I'm just excited. I love life, and it's so good. And I got rain here every day in Georgia. It's going to thunder in a few minutes. You don't have that in Dallas, do you?
George, for the last 2 days, we have had rain.
Really? And
yes.
It's still dry, though,
and
right?
It's still dry. But we have had rain over the last couple of days, and it's just been, it's truly godsend because we need it bad. The temperatures, I think today, I'm not sure. Today, we may have broken the 100-degree record of like 45 days in a row.
Days, yeah. Mm-hmm. Why don't people believe in global warming?
They don't believe in it now. I don't know when we will, George.
The same people didn't believe that Biden won the election.
Right, exactly. Yes, the same crowd.
Exact same one.
Well, now you're getting into something really crazy, that's really crazy.
Yeah. How are you, Mr. Mayor? What's going on in your world?
Well, a lot is going on in politics. In fact, this may be the most interesting and exciting race for African-American candidates who have the opportunity to finally break those ceilings all across the country. I mean, as you know, here in Georgia, nowhere like it. Of course, it's Atlanta, and we don't even call it Georgia, but in Atlanta and the rest of the state, Reverend Warnock is running for re-election against a
don't say it.
I don't even know. I don't even want to say.
Don't say it.
Walker. I don't even want to say his name. And look here, because think about this. He was the valedictorian. Oh no, stop. He was the top 1%. Oh no, he's an FBI agent. No, he helped the FBI. No, the veterans. And look, they're running a commercial today, right? They're running the Republicans against Herschel Walker.
So hold on.
A commercial today with his ex-wife. Who's like a gun to my head?
Yes.
It's just, I'm telling you something. This is the find a Negro syndrome.
Right.
The Clarence Thomas.
Trump taught him well.
Thing here.
Trump taught him well. Trump was his first boss.
I don't know if he has taught him well, George, but we are going to talk about that.
Are you saying he's dumber than Trump?
So look here. In any event, so we have both Stacey Abrams running for governor, and we've got Reverend Warnock running for re-election. One is already in office, and we're hoping to have him repeat. But they've got incredible races. Sherry Beasley's running for
that's another one.
North Carolina.
And I promise we're going to talk about those. I promise because I've got all of those listed because I do want to get your take on a number of these. And you mentioned two of them that I have on my list. But I do want to welcome you all and also want to talk a little bit about our newsletter, the What You Need to Know newsletter. We ask that you please sign up and subscribe. It's absolutely free. It's free, sir. I promise you. I tell you, you can't get a better deal than that. For those
Morgan.
For those who don't know about
that's all. Enough said. Call in. Get a wreck. Need a check.
So please go to sybilwilkes.com. Give us your name and your email address, and I promise we'll have it in your email box every Monday through Friday morning. And also, it is something that we learned from Tom Joyner, which is to super serve the African American community with our news and information. And we continue to endeavor to do that for you. As I said, on a daily basis, Monday through Friday anyway. All right. So as far as our newsletter is concerned, I want to start off with the president and get your thoughts on President Biden. And he's in a really good period right now, isn't he?
Yeah, it took him a while, to after being sick twice with the virus, and now he's back and his ratings are up. Things are looking good. People were disgusted with him, but he's passing a few bills. You guys are a little shaky yourselves with him, but I love this guy, and he's going to come up, and I don't know what he's going to run again, but I like what he's doing right now.
Well, there's a lot of discussion about that, Mayor Bill, about whether he will run again or not. But yesterday, he had a signing in the White House, which was quite emotional
Mhm.
and personal for him, regarding these burn pit uh,
Right,
devices, or these burn pits that have been in the wake of the deployments in Iraq and Afghanistan, and how it has caused a number of lung diseases, including cancer, for the soldiers that have returned, and including his son, who he
right,
believes, Bo, who did die of cancer, was a victim of the burn pit and the toxic fumes that came
right.
from that. So he signed this bill, which really extends coverage for those who have been exposed to this. And it was quite an emotional moment watching the signing in the White House, Mayor Bill Campbell.
Well, first of all, I think people have underestimated Joe Biden for most of his career.
Mm-hmm.
And as we may remember, they were saying he was dead in the water when he was running for president.
Yeah.
And then, thankfully, the same people that are on this broadcast are the same kind of people that rescued him and believed in him. And let's just say this, for all of you people who somehow believe, oh, he's too old, he's too frail, he's not the guy, his poll numbers are bad. Let's remember, he saved the country because he beat Trump. And
Right.
that alone makes him, he goes on Mount Rushmore. So my whole point of the matter is, I've never believed that his numbers really reflected it's sort of a snapshot. It doesn't really matter what the numbers are here in June and July and August.
Right.
It matters 2 years.
And Reverend, hold on a second, Mayor Bill, because we're not hearing you. No, we can't hear you.
We can't hear you. Are you still talking?
Unmute.
Do you have a son there that might be able to help you get back on?
No, you're muted. Okay. He is muted, and so George, can you?
I hear
We
you.
can't hear you. I can't. George, can you hear me?
I do hear you very well. Yeah.
And can you hear Mayor Bill?
I cannot hear him.
Because
No.
he's muted.
George, just keep going, and
Okay.
Mayor Campbell will come back. He'll come
Okay.
back.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
cool.
So you're talking about that bill, Sybil. The only thing I thought, I know it's a good bill, but why only 10 years? I think it should be forever. I think it should be.
Well, because initially it was 5.
5, yeah.
Yeah, so it extends it, and also to the number of people, because 70% of those claims that were made initially to the Veterans Affairs, 70% of them were denied.
Exactly.
And so this is a big deal. And the way the Republicans, a group of Republicans fought against this, and I don't understand it.
What is wrong with some of these Republican guys, like the insulin? How could you vote against $35 for medicine?
Right.
Sybil?
Right. How can you, and for people with private insurance, now it's only available for people on Medicaid and Medicare. And so we are looking at a difficult situation, which is, it just boggles the mind.
You don't understand it. Yes, it boggles the mind.
But hopefully the voters will speak
It'll work in our favor.
November.
Yeah, hopefully it'll work in our favor. I think it will.
Yeah.
And abortion rights, all of that will come together when it's time to vote. I hope it does, because we got.
Well, look at what happened in Kansas. Look at how they spoke up and made things work for them in that state, a very conservative state too, when you think about it. But I think the people are engaged and they're energized, and things like what the president has signed, and not only that, but now the upcoming signing of the Inflation Reduction Bill, which will probably go before the House tomorrow and then be on his desk, if not Friday, Saturday, for him to sign it, and then for them to celebrate that. That's going to be a big deal, George.
It looks like something is getting done all of a sudden, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then we got the 2 other Democrats came aboard. I think we're getting some work done. We even got that old stupid man in Virginia to come aboard.
Well, in West Virginia, yeah, Joe Manchin.
It's amazing how you can mention the word stupid in different ways and you know exactly who we're talking about, right? Stupidness.
Absolutely.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
No, we cannot hear you now.
George.
Well, you fell for it.
Okay, look here. So my point was, and I want us all to remember this, all the people that have come before, all the fact that we've had so many promises made, Joe Biden chose a black woman to be his vice president, and Joe Biden put a black woman on the Supreme Court. And no matter whatever anybody else says, that goes an awful long way. And I'll tell you that because President Obama, and we all loved his service, he had 3 opportunities, actually 2 that went on, no black woman on. Joe Biden, first thing he said, and here's the thing I love about Joe Biden, he said it early. He said, that's what I'm going to do. And he never wavered. And no matter how much pressure was brought on him, how much criticism, he stuck with it. So it's pretty remarkable to hear some of these black folks talking about, well, I'm not so certain, he's too old. He beat Trump.
Okay.
And he will beat Trump again.
Yes.
And as long as he's there and wants to run, he'll have my support. And in addition to that, the country's rolling along. Unemployment's low. Black unemployment's the lowest it's ever been, quite frankly.
Never.
The country's moving forward. And you're never going to get, look, this country, by the way, is as divided as it's ever been. And you have what's happened, which is we've never seen since Jonestown, a cult. There's a cult figure.
Exactly.
Donald Trump is a cult figure. No matter whatever anybody else says, this is not about politics. This is about something far beyond psychologically that we haven't seen since Jonestown. I mean, this is drink the Kool-Aid kind of craziness. So what I'm saying is the country likes the kind of stability that Joe Biden brings, and his commitment to African Americans has never wavered. Look, he put an African American head of the Defense Department.
Right.
So you just look across the board. He brought our former mayor, Keisha Lance Bottoms, there.
Back up
She's
to the
sitting right next in the office, right next to him. You remember her dad is Major Lance?
Yes.
So I'm just saying, how many people can put Major Lance's daughter up there next to the White House? Huh? Answer me that.
I love the connection. And
don't get me started. Don't get me started about monkey time.
Well, I'm very excited, and I'm even and I do want to talk about this as we talk about Beto O'Rourke, but I'm kind of excited about the possibilities that exist in the state of Texas.
Oh, me too. I'm very excited about Texas because
here's the thing that medicinal marijuana you smoking, Sybil, it's just not working well for you. Let me just tell you this. That's not going to work well. Now, let's talk about places where we can actually win one. North Carolina,
okay.
We can win in Texas.
Wes Moore running for governor
in Maryland.
He's an author. In fact, he's got a book with the 2 Wes Moores, which is very interesting.
The other Wes Moore, which was great.
The other Wes Moore. I mean, think about it. We've got Mandela Barnes, who's the lieutenant governor. Just a guy named Mandela Barnes.
That's what I said.
Who's running for Senate, with a very important race in Wisconsin. So you've got an awful lot of things that are going on. It's just a lot of excitement. And here's the other thing. I don't want to hear any black person talking about impediments to voting, right? Because I don't care what it is, you can get up and get somebody to take you to the polls and go. I don't care if it's don't tell me about, well, they checked the early voting and you can't put the drop boxes.
Doesn't matter.
Get yourself up and you go to the polls and you vote, because look, we saw John Lewis get knocked down and beaten 56 times. We saw C.T. Vivian. We saw all these people who really sacrificed to go try to vote. And now, they didn't pick me up. I don't know if I can make it. I don't want to hear it.
Back then, we only had one day.
We can change the whole country right now in November.
Right. And back then, we only had one day to vote, right? So we can get out there and vote. We can get out there.
Look, I don't care how many impediments they put. It can't stop you from going to the polls on election day and voting. There you go. Whatever else they no Sunday voting. Okay, I'll go on Tuesday. Right?
Exactly.
I mean, ride to the polls. Everything is there available for you. All you got to do is go and vote. And this election, think about this. You could have Governor Abrams here in Georgia. You can have a governor. You can have black senators that haven't been since Reconstruction.
That's right.
It's an amazing opportunity. All you got to do is just go vote. It doesn't cost you a dime. Here's the other thing. It doesn't cost you anything. It's free. It's like Morgan and Morgan. It's free. Go to the polls and vote.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the other concerns to our community. And this is a story that we've been following in the newsletter, Your Honor, as well as George. And this is the the
I
death.
like the way she said, Your Honor and George. I like that. You know what I mean?
Your Honor
You
and
know what?
Yeah.
and George.
I'm
Talking
happy,
about.
I'm happy with that because you know so much more than I do, Mayor. I'm so happy with you.
Well,
Your
let's
Honor.
talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Breonna Greer situation, and this is a case in which Breonna Greer and her mental crisis, when her parents called for police and called for
Right.
911 help. That's what they called for a mental health intervention. And what they said was the police involved in the case, and the way that they treated her, not only in their approach to her, but as they put her in handcuffs. They did not strap her into the police vehicle.
So I've
She
never
fell
even
out of-
heard of anything like that. Quite
How
frankly,
crazy is
I
that?
mean, they had the memorial service today. Reverend Sharpton was there, among others. The service was here in Atlanta. This points to a real problem in our community, and that is when the mental health issues arise,
Right.
they're sending police officers who unfortunately are just not really prepared to deal with mental health crises. And this is what got wrapped up in trying to redirect funds to have people that are mental health
Right.
professionals going
Right.
out when there is a mental health call.
Right.
All of us, and certainly, look, here's the thing. We want police officers in our community. We know that
Yes,
because
yes.
that's where the crime is, right?
Yes.
If you want to know where the crime is, go to MLK in any city, and
Right.
that's where the
Right.
crime is happening, okay?
That's right.
So the point of the matter is we need to have good police protection, but we
Mhm.
also need to have a system that responds to mental health crises,
Yes.
because we've got an awful lot of pressure on us, and it causes mental health concerns. And that case with Brown is the same thing that's happened over and over and over again, where people are calling the police, they're calling 911 rather, and
Right.
they're asking for some help, and the help that comes is not what they expected. And there was also, in addition to her case where she fell out of the car, we had a woman who was they called, she was having a suicide issue here in Atlanta, and the police came, and she ended up shooting the police that came, and when they shot her, I mean, again, mental health issues.
Right.
And it's not, these are not criminal issues, these are mental health issues that really require a mental health professional to be a part of the dispatching units that go out when there's a mental health call.
It is. It really speaks to the changes that we have to take place in our country. And I'm not sure. We have discussions like this, especially with our young commentators on a weekly, if not daily basis, regarding the defunding of police or the moving of funds from police to include mental health workers, as you say. It's so difficult, and yet we are doing stories like this on a daily basis. Daily.
Not only are we doing the stories, but in Stacey Abrams' race, and I can assure you it'll also be in Mandela Barnes's race, the whole issue, when they're asked about whether or not some funds should be redirected, I mean, the defund the police is one of the worst phrases I've ever heard from a political perspective,
right?
Because it really totally destroys the notion of trying to get mental health professionals or some funding redirected. Doesn't mean you're defunding the police. It simply means you're being smarter about it.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what's so interesting about this whole thing. That but look, it's the world in which we live, where words are distorted, where phrases are somehow juxtaposed to make you seem as though you're a communist or a socialist. What's so interesting about all this, especially for somebody like George and myself that are a little older, and George is much older, and so is the point that
I'll be 86 on my next birthday.
I believe
I gotta say something. You look great, George, and I'm not saying that whimsically. You do look great,
and you look great for 86 too, Your Honor.
George. After I let you slide with that banana shirt on, I can't believe you say anything. So here's the point I'm making. Way back when they were trying to discredit our leaders, Paul Robeson or Dr. King, what did they say? They were communists, right? They were socialists. That was the whole. It's the same thing. They didn't want to be good Americans. It's the same thing with defunding the police. It's just old wine in a new bottle. They simply have a new way of attacking us for not being good Americans. That's what it's all about. We're the fundamentally good Americans because we've put our blood, sweat, and tears into making America what it is today. So it's just the same old thing. And it doesn't matter if you say we need to have some different approach to mental health professionals being a part of those that are responding. They simply say, oh, that means defund the police, and they just change that, and that's what they're running. The commercials on Stacey Abrams here in Atlanta, as George will tell you, I mean, it's every day. She wants to defund the police. You know, that I hate that. That's not what I want. But that's not what she said. She simply said we need to find a way to be more responsive when there are mental health issues. And I just, you know, again, if you read by Paul Robeson or W.B. Du Bois or the history of Black in America, that's where they've always started, is that we are fundamentally anti-American, even though we've given everything.
We built this country to this.
Yeah. We built this country from the ground up. And George, as you know, was very close to Harriet Tubman. We took Harriet to the prom. And they worked very hard to build this country. I'm
proud of that. I'm proud of that.
You all are
when she
so
said,
crazy.
"Come on, follow me," I was right behind her.
You all are so crazy.
I was a conductor.
I believe that. And a man who cleaned her guns. So we're going to move on from the What You Need to Know newsletter, but we are going to talk about what's really going on. And this is where I wanted to talk, especially about politics. And you've touched upon a number of these things already, namely the Herschel Walker ad, the anti-Herschel Walker ad that has been now put up on media, as this is funded by Republicans.
By Republicans against Walker, by the way.
Right.
That's pretty remarkable. Let me just say this about this race. I've been in politics all my life, and Reverend Warnock is the smoothest operator I've ever seen in commercials. His commercials are brilliant. I'll say that. I'm not talking about, I'll come around to the anti-Herschel commercial, but just his presentation is just unbelievable. It's smooth and believable, and it's got substance to it, and they're funny. He had a dog and he ran in for back, but now he's got this where he pretends like he's a football player.
Right.
He's very, very creative, and he's wonderful in
Genius.
It's genius, actually, and
he's
doing a great job, by the way. Beyond all the campaigning, it's the fundamentals. It's the strength of his character and what he does when he has the opportunity there in Washington to get things done. The whole Herschel Walker is just mind-boggling. Really, they have taken a guy that is just. Let's just be very honest. He is not fundamentally sound on any level. Right. And to think that they are really putting him forward to be a U.S. senator, I mean, he is the things that he said. The air floats over to China. Mexico.
The coverts walking out of the door. Everything.
The COVID thing. And the anti-commercials, the anti-Walker commercials, they got round 1, round 2, round 3. I've never seen them. They're brilliant, right? Yeah. Because they use his own words.
Right.
That's what's so amazing.
That's what's good. Right? Use his own
but
words.
The commercial that has got to be the talk of America.
It is
this Republicans against Walker using his ex-wife, talking about how he put a gun to her head and wanted to kill her. I mean, how could any self-respecting, forget Republican, just American, look at a person like this, listen to what they're saying, and say, this is a version. And here's the thing, everything is compared to what, right? It's not just that Herschel is totally unfit to be in the U.S. Senate. It's the fact that Warnock is a terrific senator.
He is that good.
Right? So it's not like you're saying, well, Herschel's here and this and there.
He leaves him in the dust. He just.
Well, it's not. So that's what's so remarkable about it in the commercial.
There's no comparison.
I don't know if I've ever seen anything quite like it.
Yeah.
But to the two of you, no matter what we say, I'm glad he's running.
So you say as opposed to the former senator from Georgia,
Purdue, anybody. I'm glad Herschel is running because he can't make it. Even though he got a few people following him, he won't make it. I'm glad he's running. We can kick his butt.
Well,
there's an old saying, George, from God's to your God's voice to your lips. I get it all twisted.
Bill Campbell,
the whole point.
Bill Campbell, Sybil, if Herschel wins, I'm moving to another country. I'm going to Switzerland, I'm going to Japan, or I'm going to Cleveland. Herschel can't. Come on, Herschel can't win. You can't have a guy representing the state of Georgia.
Well,
Well, the polls are remarkable. Let me just say this.
that's the next thing I was going to ask you about.
Remarkably close. And that's why I come back, George and Sybil, to what I was talking about earlier. The country is on a precipice. It really, the fate of the country rests in this election, right? Because thankfully Trump is out, but Trump is not out because his candidates are winning these Republican primaries everywhere. Virtually of the 10 congressmen and women who voted to impeach him, 9 of them are gone.
Right.
6 of them decided not to even run again.
Right.
And of the other 4, only 1. And beyond that, in Arizona, the people who he endorsed are these far right, not just right wing. It used to be you say, well, somebody is conservative. I mean, these people are fringe nutcases.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Including Michigan too. Yeah.
Every single one of them won. And here's why that's so important. Some of these people are the secretaries of state, and they're over the elections.
That's it.
Exactly.
The guy in Arizona already said, if I was the secretary of state, I would have thrown Biden's victory out and given it to Trump.
And who's to say that he won't try it once
say that he won't try it if he wins in 2 years? That's the point again that I'm making is these are very, very serious times. And I don't know that even having grown up in the segregated South and the Klan and George Wallace, not this George Wallace, George Wallace who ran under the racist banner of, I'll never let a black person come into the University of Alabama. All these things are at play right now. And here's what's hard for people to understand. They're changing history. They're rewriting history. They're taking the history books and they're saying in all like places like Texas where you think Beto O'Rourke's got a chance. I mean, they're literally saying slavery, it was just, people didn't like where they were working.
Starting in the school boards.
It was a tough time, but, we got over it. They are rewriting history.
Yep.
And, they say the victors get to write history. And I'm telling you, if this continues down this road, it's the same thing. In fact, you may remember that's why the guy who won in Virginia, that was the whole campaign for the Republican who won was the critical race theory is somehow teaching your children that white people are bad. And that got so much attention.
Traction, and especially from those white suburban mothers,
So I'm simply saying to you, this is a very, very important election. Everybody says that, right? But I'm telling you,
I say that
this election is one where our entire future rests on it, because if they take over the Senate, then the judges don't get confirmed.
Exactly.
Right. And as you now see, that's the most important thing that happens. For the right to a woman's right to choose, thrown out the window by this very conservative Supreme Court. The Voting Rights Act, the campaign finance reform, guns. I mean, my goodness, if you want to know what is the issue of the day, it is the fact that the guns are killing us.
That's right.
Right? They're killing us. We're the ones that they just showed a picture today, George, on the local news. This is a picture of all the 100 black people that got killed, the 100 people that got killed so far in Atlanta this year. One of them, maybe 1 or 2 were white. So I'm simply saying we're the ones that are being killed. Yeah. And we're the ones that are killing us also, by the way.
Victimized
by this availability of guns. And if whenever you put the common sense rules and laws in place, this Supreme Court is striking those down. In Georgia, by the way, it's like the Wild Wild West.
Texas too.
There's no concealed carry. Anybody can carry them anytime, anywhere, no matter what. And
open carry.
So that's why I tell you that this election really is so vitally important. And when you got a chance to elect a guy like Mandela Barnes, who replaced a total Nazi in Ron Johnson in Wisconsin, I mean, this is an opportunity for us. I mean, Sherry
Yes.
Beasley in North Carolina.
So
these
talk
are
about her,
more
because we
opportunities.
don't focus enough on I mean, well, obviously Mandela Barnes just won the primary just the other day, but we don't talk about Sherry Beasley enough, and let's talk about her and what that means in the South as well. I mean, this is at Florida. Let's talk about, Val Demings
Yeah.
and her primary, in which she is facing a number of Democrats for the nomination, and then she'll go up against Marco Rubio and another large group of independents and people in that election. There's a lot going
She's
on.
very sharp too, by the way.
I
She's
love
a terrific.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, very sharp. So that's why I'm delighted, Sybil and George, that you're devoting an awful lot of time to politics, because if I hear one more time anybody say, I'm so tired of politics, right? I'm just tired of all the commercials.
Right.
Well, let me just wait until the election happens and you didn't go to vote, and you'll really be tired of what happens thereafter. Yeah. So politics is everything. Politics is where your kids go to school, what they learn, what they eat, what the air they breathe,
He went out again, Sybil.
It is, and so we'll continue the conversation, George, because I really want to, because I got to tell you, if we can
go. He can talk, right?
Yeah,
he gets into something he really knows it all.
We just need him to unmute himself, or we can get that straight again. George, I want to share with people how our conversations are, George Wallace, because your text, sometimes George, being the funniest man alive, he is also one of the angriest. George Wallace is one of the angriest people you're ever likely.
Right now, I am. Yes, I am.
His feelings about Herschel Walker, his feelings about
Tim Scott
in North Carolina. South Carolina. I'm sorry, George.
Here's a man that did not vote for the CJ. He sucks. He makes me mad. I'm very angry at him. I want to be the first in line to spit on his grave. How could you be a black man in Congress and not vote for this Miss Jackson, CJ Jackson? How could you do that? That is low as you could get.
That's Ketanji Brown Jackson.
So I'm ready to start using the F word right now. So I'm going crazy on that.
So hold off on that.
I can't cuss it. Yeah, okay. But I'm pissed off. Yeah, you're right. I've become it's time to cuss, other words. I've been a Christian all my life, but what's going on in politics to this day?
But what I need you to do, George, when you're up on stage and you're cussing and because you're not even a cusser on stage, but what I need you to do is every time you're up there, and I've seen you do it in Atlanta, just remind people how important it is that we vote.
And black men in particular, and especially in Georgia, black men, you can make a difference. All you ladies out there, make sure your husbands, your sons vote, because this is going to make the big difference. And Stacey can win with black men.
Right. And that's what I wanted to talk to you. First of all, we want to give her get well wishes, because
today she's sick.
She has announced that she has tested positive for COVID, and so she'll probably be in quarantine for a few days. But I hope that doesn't slow down any of the momentum in her favor in this campaign, because the polls are not showing her progress in this fight. But I really believe that the second time is going to be the charm for her.
She's
George.
Not worried about the numbers. She's worried about the men coming off to vote for her. And once again, if you men vote, we can win. She can win, and we will win. So I'm encouraging every black man I know in the state of Georgia, your number one priority is to vote. Vote, vote, vote. And that's all I'm going to talk about on stage. Thank you for saying that, Sybil. When I go on stage, it's about black men voting. Everybody's got to vote, but black men in particular.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. If they are engaged enough to come and see you, I hope that they are engaged enough to carry forth with what we need in terms of our politics and our future of our country by going out and voting, early voting or voting on the day of the election, which is November 8th.
Well, I am a mover and a shaker. So I thank you. I thank you for telling me to go on stage and I can direct these men to go out and vote. and put that in. You've got to vote. Do me a favor. Do yourself a favor. Do your wife a favor. Do your family a favor. Do your country a favor. Vote Black men. It's very important.
Absolutely.
Well, we know that Black women always vote.
Always vote.
It's us, George. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean,
I said that. Yeah.
I know you said it, but it bears repeating. It's just, Stacey Abrams actually had put out a call to arms yesterday, saying, "Black men, vote for me. I'll win."
That's what George was saying. Yeah.
That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
I mean, why do they have to be persuaded, given her obvious capability and qualifications, and the fact that, she is a person of not only great character and ability, but it's an opportunity to have an African American as the governor of Georgia.
Right.
Totally.
That alone.
To make a change in my life and your life and our life. If she becomes the governor of Georgia, she changes the whole world.
She does.
She does.
And I think even
all the things we're talking about, women's right to choose, the concealed carry gun law,
our schools, everything.
Healthcare, by the way, the governor is fighting healthcare for seniors here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's remarkable that we have so many opportunities that could be changed instantly with not only, all you have to do, it seems so simple and you keep saying it, but it bears repeating, is just to make certain that we go to the polls and vote. And I've lived a whole life on where voting is fundamental, and you just wonder why it hasn't really trickled down. But on the other hand, we elected Joe Biden, and we elected Warnock and Ossoff in Georgia.
Right.
Yes. Changed, by the way.
Yeah.
The reason that we have the Supreme Court Justice Jackson is because we won those two races here in Georgia in a runoff. And by the way, here's the thing I want everybody to appreciate about the people of Atlanta. Now, when I say Atlanta, I want you to understand, as George knows, we're not talking about just Atlanta proper, right? Atlanta, for anybody, look, every time I see somebody, they say, "I voted for you twice." I live out in Stone Mountain. I live in
You can't vote for you. You can't vote for me.
The point I'm making is, everybody believes that we know that Atlanta means this larger donut. Not just the city of Atlanta, it's the larger area. And by the way, we're moving further and further out. And that's good also.
Yes.
That's why you've got these previously rural counties. Right. Henry County, Rockdale County, Gwinnett County. And those are really conservative Republican strongholds.
Almost to Macon. It's almost to Chattanooga. It's really.
Let me tell you something. He's not lying about
just
that.
being funny.
He lies so much, it's hard to know. But on this particular case, he happens to be right. And so the point I'm making is, this donut, this elongated donut, is really strongly electing Black people in these local offices. And that's why we know that we've just got to make certain that they're getting out and voting, because things will change in Georgia. And if they change in Georgia, they can do in South Carolina, and North Carolina,
and Texas, and Texas.
Civil.
Okay.
Your doctor got glaucoma.
Hey, Bill, Texas can. Texas has 276,000 Blacks that did not vote in the last election. You can win with 276,000 Black voters.
And our friend Royce West proved that when he was running. When he was running, and pointed out the number of Black voters who did not weren't registered, did not vote.
Exactly.
And I think that I know. Okay, I have been called.
I've known Royce for a long time, and I agree with it. Now there's another fundamental that we must address.
Yes.
And that is the Hispanic vote. It's not just the Black vote.
But here's why I think that can happen. Uvalde. I think that what happened in Uvalde, Texas, can make a big difference as far as the Hispanic vote, because of the way that whole thing was handled. I think it was just the way that what has followed in the massacre of those children is also a massacre of historic proportions, because of the way they have dismissed those Hispanic people, those children, as well as the way that they allowed the police department to run roughshod over this and allowed this to happen. It is the worst thing that possibly happened. And if Greg Abbott does not pay the price for this, then there is no justice.
Thank you so much, Sybil. Thank you.
two worst things that have happened in our lifetimes: Sandy Hook and Uvalde. It's, I pray for the parents. I mean, it's almost unimaginable. And in addition to that, just the sheer horror of these children, these young babies who are celebrating the last day of school,
right?
And their bodies are all they can't even identify some of the bodies because of the force of these AR-15s. So back to our point, however, and I agree with you, Sybil. There are certainly opportunities. I just really hope that we can find our way to having partnerships with the Hispanic community that work for all of us, because the same people that hate us and discriminate against us also have the same feelings. I mean, if you're a person that hates people of color, it doesn't make a difference whether you speak Spanish or you speak Ebonics. It doesn't really matter. It's the point of the matter is they just don't want us to be in control of the levers of power, money, power, policy, and those are the things that are so fundamentally important for this election. I'm really delighted, Sybil, that we're having this conversation, because it's a very serious time.
It really is. And I think that the coalition that Black folks used to have with Jewish folks, or which has kind of fractured, which has fractured in many respects. But there's also the thing that used to be between Blacks and Hispanics, Asians. Now this Asian hate is is really awful, Your Honor. And I'm just wondering how we can kind of get back to the coalition.
Let me say two or three things, Sybil. First, the Jewish community still votes 77% Democratic, even even though it's somewhat fractured. I wouldn't say that it's beyond right. The problem with we've just not been able to find coalitions that really work for all of us. And the Asian community, things that I'm so disturbed about with the Asian community, who really have been voting, they voted very heavily Democratic in this past election. Right. But the violence against Asians has largely been by Black folks.
That is
that's so inexplicable. I mean, in fact, every single one of these cases in New York, in San Francisco,
in Texas,
they've all been Black men somehow attacking Asians, which is inexplicable and unacceptable and unforgivable. So we've simply got to find ways of our community of making certain that we heal these divisions, that we work in tandem, because our issues are largely the same, and where people of color are able to join together, the communities are better, and that's why I really hope that happens. But
I pray you're right.
It's an awful lot of things that are juggling. We're juggling an awful lot of things in the air. So that's why I really want our people to work hand in hand with our Asian brothers, our Native American brothers and sisters. I mean, the same thing with our Hispanic friends, because the minorities are going to be the majority.
That's right.
That's what's so interesting about where we are in this country's history right now. It's probably right now 45, 55, easily could shift. Right. And that's what I think is also driving these people to absolute pandemonium.
Right. I agree with George.
Let me say one thing. I have a previous engagement.
I know. So that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
George, I want you to tell people where they can find the worldwide tour next of George Wallace, Myra J., and J. Anthony Brown. I know that you're going to be in Chicago at Riddles in suburban Chicago, August 19th and 20th, right?
19th and 20th. You've got to be there, Chicago. It's something you've never seen before, because we don't know what's going on. We don't know what's happening. I know we're crazy. Mary, you should be on the show to have some structure, but it's crazy. Sybil came to the show. It's absolutely out of control. It's nothing but fun. Memphis, Tennessee, we're coming to Chuckles there, September 16th and 17th. Birmingham, Alabama, Labor Day weekend. This is all you need to know. Birmingham, Alabama, Labor Day weekend. Washington, D.C., we're coming there November 3rd and 4th. And I'm going to add on about 10 more days. This is wonderful. We love having fun. We love laughter. And Sybil, thank you so much for helping us to promote these gigs. And I have a very competent friend there with you that can handle the rest of the show. His name is the Honorable Bill Campbell, and he knows things that I would never know.
Well, let me say that, by the way, let me say this, Sybil. When George had the show here, they were lined up like 2 or 3 blocks.
I was there.
I was out of town. Right? I was out of town when they were lined up around
the building,
block, and everybody was going crazy, and it was a happening. That the interesting thing about when George and Jay Anthony and the whole crew, it's a happening. It's not just a comedy show.
Right.
It's a comedic explosion.
Yep.
And George is such a valuable part of our community, and the shows are terrific, and people love them. And quite frankly, boy, we need to laugh. Yeah, it's a time when laughter ought to be
more than ever.
It's a part of the mental health improvement that we talk about so much, because we've got so much.
You guys know I gotta go, but you keep making me feel good. I gotta say one thing before I leave.
Yes, sir.
As my daddy used to say, Herschel Walker running for office makes as much sense as having an ashtray on a motorcycle. That's all I need to say. I love it. There's so much to talk about, and I love all the Smiths, and I love all the Walkers.
And George, give my love to my sister of the microphone, Bonnie DeShawn.
Bonnie DeShawn. I love y'all. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it.
F
all the Smiths, F all the Walkers, F all the Scotts, all the Thomases. I'll get into that next.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I've been cussing, Mayor. It's been bad. It's been bad.
You sent me the new George Wallace, and I saw your clip on the new George Wallace.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
I'm cussing like a sailor, and I can't swim. See y'all.
Your Honor, before I lose you, I do want to talk a little bit of lightness, but also to continue our tribute to Bill Russell, who we lost last month at the age of 88. The NBA has announced today that they are going to retire his number 6 jersey throughout the league. And this will honor him by permanently retiring his jersey throughout the NBA. And they say that that no one will ever be able to request the number 6. And so the number 6 will end with LeBron James and Kristaps Porzingis and others who have been allowed to have this number up until now. But as of now, no one else will ever have the number 6, and it will always be known as Bill Russell's number.
You know, the funny thing, Sybil, about Bill Russell is he's never been given his proper recognition for the incredible athletic achievements, which will never be duplicated, by the way.
Right.
What's so interesting is that Michael Jordan won 6, and Ron won 5, and Steph Curry won. None of them won what Bill Russell did. And
almost collectively.
Almost collectively. But what I always admired most about him was not his athletic prowess.
Right.
It was his commitment to civil rights.
Right.
I had the honor of going and picking up Jackie Robinson with my father for a civil rights rally in Raleigh, North Carolina in 1960. And these great people, right? Jackie Robinson and Bill Russell, people who really understood the social fabric was not about the sport.
Right.
It was about the humanity. It was about the community that they came from and that they wanted to improve. And that's what I always felt about Bill Russell. People talked about he won the 2 NCAA titles when he was at the University of San Francisco. He won an Olympic gold medal. But I still remember him showing up with Muhammad Ali at that famous coalition with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Jim Brown, where they were talking about the fact that Ali wanted to have the opportunity to use his religion as an important part of who he was, and was banned from his sport for 3 years.
Right.
So I mean, Bill Russell was an icon, not because of what he did on the basketball court, but because of what he did in life. And he never stopped talking about it, by the way. They wanted to try to, silence him by saying, well, he was unhappy and he was a malcontent. But this is a guy who not only won, but did it with dignity.
Yes.
And then made certain that he stayed connected to the issues that are of fundamental importance. I mean, when we are much older, Sybil, the people that we really will remember in sport are people like Jackie Robinson and Bill Russell and Muhammad Ali. I mean, these people who really stood for something. I mean, you understand? It's not just the the sport part of it. Arthur Ashe. I remember Arthur Ashe as much for his work outside of the tennis.
That's
field.
right. That's right.
And so that's what's so. I think it's inspiring that they decided to retire his number. Should have done it a long time ago.
Right.
I mean, don't wait until the guy dies.
Yeah.
To retire his number. I mean, he's been around forever. I mean,
just think about that, how it was the 50s and 60s where he rose to this greatness in one of the most racist cities in the country, and brought the championships to the people, to the fans, but also kept, as you said so beautifully, the dignity and the fight in the civil rights movement.
And the fight. What's so interesting about it, and became the first Black coach. I mean,
exactly, of any major sport.
And people overlook that, and so that's why it's, again, there's an old, better late than never. But certainly, Bill Russell should have been acknowledged by retiring his number a long time ago, because there's simply been nobody like him before and nobody like him since. And his
the one thing I loved about the Obama administration, and I think to an extent the President Biden is trying to do this as well, but to bring attention to these people, like when he did give Bill Russell the Presidential Medal of Freedom with President Obama and other people, we got to give them their flowers now. As you say, this is way long overdue, but we've got to remember the people who were in the fight and for all of this for so long. And
they gave him the Presidential Medal the same time they gave John Lewis.
Yes, it was the same.
At that very same ceremony.
Absolutely.
So
you're absolutely right. It's just,
by the way, we lost one of the great songwriters.
We talked about that the other day, and he was another one of those greats and I loved his work ethic. We talked about this the other day, Your Honor, that he would go into the studio like it was his 9 to 5, except it was 9 a.m. He would go into work and be working till all hours of the next morning. We don't see that much anymore, and we also don't see a man who wrote music. A Black man who wrote music and understanding that the people who purchased it were Black women. Once again,
and by the way, and made Black women famous.
Yes.
Not only Martha Vandellas, the Supremes, and go down the line.
Yep. Baby Love and all of that stuff. Yep.
Motown, the Philly sound, Stax Records. I mean, the sound of what we grew up on, Sybil, was so integral to who we are as a people. And so we're losing some of those. We've lost so many greats, but so many of them are still around. Smokey Robinson is coming to Atlanta in a few weeks. And I mean, many people believe he is as important for the Motown success as Berry Gordy.
Yep.
So
and one of your own, Myra J was just talking about Gladys Knight being in town just not too long ago.
Atlanta grew up right there on at the church over there on Fair Street by the Morehouse campus.
Yeah, and she came home last weekend, and the people loving her, and we've got to continue to. She
sounds great, by the way.
Right. That's what Myra said. She sounded better than ever.
So when I was mayor, we had, one of these centennials of Atlanta, 100 year, 150 year, and they said, well, who do you want to be the person that performs at Centennial Olympic Park? I said, well, there's only one. It's Gladys Knight.
Right.
And she was terrific. And then she had a very successful, Gladys Knight's Chicken and Waffles restaurant. A couple of those. But we sat together on a flight from Atlanta to Las Vegas. She still may live in Las Vegas. But delightful, really, just delightful. And goodness gracious, what a voice. And still great.
Still great.
but they had when they had the verses.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah.
And then Dionne Warwick walked on and they did the little thing.
What a moment!
Oh my goodness!
What a moment!
So you know how fortunate we've been to be able to see all this, Sybil, and you being a part of the Tom Joyner show. I mean, you saw it.
I saw it.
First,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, for how many years?
Yeah.
It was just, I mean,
yeah, and having the opportunity to have a friendship with you too, Mayor Bill, we really appreciate you and joining us, and I hope you will come back soon. We continue because being the nerd that I am about politics, I just absolutely love having these conversations with you, and I thank you for your time. Thank you so much.
I always love being here because, Sybil, you are a serious person, and these are serious times, and they really require. No matter how much we were able to sort of also have some frivolity and some humor with George and some other issues, but these are serious times. But before I go, I just celebrated my 44th anniversary with my wife Sharon.
Oh, how awesome! Congratulations!
I met Sharon a number of times. So how great is that to be married 44 years? I met her,
and y'all still like each other?
Like each other. Well,
well,
I'm the luckiest guy in the world.
That's nice.
I absolutely adore this woman, and we just
what's the date? What's the date? What's the date
August
of your
the 5th. We were married August the 5th. But here's the funny thing, Sybil. So we met at Duke, right? I was in law school. She was an undergrad. Now this is one of those interesting stories. From the moment I saw her, I went back and told my friends, I said, I met this woman I'm going to marry. And they said, oh, my goodness, you say it all the time. I said, no,
I mean it this time.
This time, I'm serious about it. And I did. And what a difference, what an incredible friend, warrior, mother, first lady.
That's
all
awesome.
of the things were all wrapped into one. And she's an awful lot of fun on top of that. So
that is so awesome.
Anniversary. And I couldn't do this without her and my son helping me to put this together, just to be able, because my technology skills are, more like the Flintstones rather than the Jetsons. But it's always a pleasure to be a part of this celebration of what's going on, Sybil.
Thank you, sir. And happy anniversary to you and to your better half.
Thank you so very much.
And we appreciate that. And so that is former mayor of Atlanta, Bill Campbell. He is really an oracle. He's the oracle when we come to our conversations about politics.
The lottery number
we're going to close out with our daily inspiration. Yogi's Jewel. When you are honest with yourself, you can be honest with others. And we have a man who is doing that for us today as we talk about the issue. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mayor Bill. We will see you again soon, hopefully.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Aloha.